Some people rock and some people roll. Some will make you giggle right down to your soul. She'll talk to the world and introduce them to you. And look at me now, I'm on Barbara and you. You gotta take a step inside the shoes of another. Get to know your neighbor, get to know one another. She'll talk to the world and introduce them to you. And look at me now, I'm on Barbara and you.
Game people.
Is it over now? Of all these years of doing this program, people often say to me, don't you run out of guests? And the answer is no. There are so many interesting people. And it's various ways that I get guests. They're often recommended to me. And the reason and how this evolved, that these three painters are with us tonight, is Elaine Membrino is the sister of my dear friend Nancy Maynard. And while selling Nancy Maynard's condo, I'm talking about this beautiful artwork. Nancy's condo was like an art gallery. It was. And then I found out half of them were your paintings. Yeah. The other half were your husband Richard's paintings. And I don't know where you come in, Justin, but so anyway.
He's part of the three painters.
Part of the three painters, yes. Yep. So left to right, we have Justin McGonigle. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
Okay. And Richard and Elaine Membrino, husband and wife, and all three of you talented artists.
Thank you.
So Elaine, I thought it was very fortunate when I met you at Nancy's house and discovered. Me too. And when I first invited you to be on the show, you're like, what? And here we are.
Great.
Here we are.
Thank you very much.
Before we end, it's like an art gallery in here tonight too, folks, because we have some beautiful paintings we're going to show you. But first, I want to hear more from each of you about how you became an artist, how the three of you hooked up, other than the fact that you two married each other. But maybe, fill me in here, Elaine.
Well, Richard and I met like 46 years ago, and we both were interested in art then. And we started talking about art and listening to good music, etc. And we got serious, got married, and we started producing art.
And
it's been going on.
You didn't train? You had.
Well, I'm a self-taught artist, but Richard went to Fitchburg State University, and then he went to Worcester School of Design, the museum school, affiliated with Clark University.
Okay, and Richard, why don't you pick it up from there and tell me about when you first discovered that you had this talent and how you cultivated it through your education.
Well, I first, decided I would like to be an artist. I think when I was about 10 years old. My mother was a Sunday painter, and
what a Sunday painter?
A Sunday painter
was a hobby.
Like a hobby.
Okay.
Right. She wasn't really a serious painter, but she did it as a hobby, and she had a paint set, and I got into the paint set one day, and I got hooked, as they say, and. I said, this is really something else. I'm really enjoying this. But I really wasn't thinking of it as a career or anything like that for a long time. Then I graduated from high school, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do as far as college is concerned. And so someone suggested, why don't you study art, since you enjoy doing that so much and you're so good at it. So I did take that person's advice. I enrolled at the time it was Fitchburg State College, and I took some art courses there that were I thought, very fulfilling. It opened up my eyes to a lot of things that I had never thought of before.
With Justin's father-in-law.
They were
Professor Arsenault.
The woman I married, her father, Elmer Arsenault, taught at Fitchburg State as an art teacher for many years.
Took some courses with his father.
I mean, unbeknownst to, I didn't
Right,
know,
you didn't know each other at that time.
No.
But it got us to meet,
But I met some very interesting people at the college. They got me even more deeply interested in art, and I was investigating it even deeper. So then I decided to go to school at the Worcester Art Museum, which had a school at the time. And I studied there for 3 years. I studied with Santi Graziani, who's an internationally known painter, and graduated from there in 1973. And we opened up our first art gallery in 1973 in Fitchburg on Pritchard Street. We were the first fine art gallery in Fitchburg at the time.
Well, what a rich history. I just got here 72 or 73 when I moved here from Ohio.
Right.
Now, Justin, you tell me your story.
I've always been making art. I didn't start painting until 19 or 20.
But with your father being an art professor.
My father-in-law.
Oh, that was your father-in-law. So that came
But I'd
later.
always been drawing, and I don't know if you remember the program Captain Bob.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm probably too young.
He taught me. He was a TV show on very, very early in the morning. He taught me to draw, and I'd always liked drawing. And
I used to watch him,
I
too.
watched him, too.
That must have been New England, though. I was back in Ohio.
Very New England,
Yeah, it was totally New England.
Yeah.
And had always been making art, and a little bit of the same kind of story. Like, I got to a point where I didn't really know what I was doing, and I thought, I'm going to be an artist, but I was still living at home. So I remember the conversation with my mother. I actually said, can I just stay here for like a year and just like live as an artist? And luckily she said yes, and that kind of started things off. And then when I met these guys, they're as serious about it as I am, so...
In 2012.
2012.
That's when we started showing as the three painters.
Okay.
So it's hard by yourself, you know what I mean? Like, it's easier for us anyway with a little bit of a group where you don't have to be kind of trudging uphill by yourself all the time, where it's, you know, we can get together and talk about it, and where should we show next, and what should we make T-shirts and stuff like, but just to make it actually makes it more fun.
We're like mountain climbers, you know, you need more than one.
It's a very solitary act anyway.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
So,
and does your wife have any interest in art?
she's a knitter.
She's a knitter.
She's been knitting for 40 years.
She makes lovely things.
That's an art style,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you.
She's very creative, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a studio, and we take care of, my wife is named Noelle, her mother. We live with her, the house that Noelle grew up in, and there's a studio that was Elmer's, the teacher at Fitchburg, attached to the house. So when we moved up here, I have the studio now, so that makes it nice.
That's great.
But
so for all of you, is art your full-time profession?
Well, we're both pretty retired right now, but we've always worked at other jobs as well. We raised a family. We have 2 children. Justin has 1 girl. He's still working.
yeah, I work for the city of Nashua as a web designer.
Oh, well, that's artistic too, isn't it? Now, what I find very interesting is that you brought examples to show us tonight, and you have very different styles, and you can kind of, as you look at them, you can tell which ones. Well, you told me which ones belong to who, but you can see the groupings. So, Elaine, I don't know if I have to give time. Oh, we do have the cameraman over there. So, Elaine, we're going to start with yours. I believe do you have 2 or 3 over there? Okay, tell us about the one that we're seeing on the monitor right now.
I'm a contemporary realist, which I do different series, though. This is contemporary realism. And I also do abstract. That's why I think we can appreciate each other's work, because a lot of people don't understand abstract painting, or they think they can do it too. Well, try it. But anyway, I'm into these still lifes that are quite 3-dimensional, and this is tulips and hollyberries. I'm into hollyberries, tulips. I'm also into pears. The next one, if they show us the next one, is called Screen Porch.
Let's get a minute. Is that the one below it? Is that where we're going? Okay, we'll let him pan down to that. Screen Porch. Okay.
So I was looking at it the other night, and it looks like you're sitting at a table in a screen porch, so that's where I got the title.
Now,
I
when you're
work in
doing something
acrylic.
like this, do you set up your still life to do some copying, or,
Well, not exactly,
or is it all
but
in your head?
the plant that's hanging in this painting, I had done a previous painting similar with the pears, not exactly, but this is what you call a series. I have an African violet series with the pears, the apples, and I began with, I wanted to do that shape, and I just went from there, but it all just came out very flowing onto this board. I like to work on Luan, which is, you can buy it in large sheets, and it's inexpensive, and it's light. So this is one reason why, but I like the wood against the paint when I'm painting.
Oh,
But
very
this is one of
interesting.
my still lifes.
Okay, very
Yeah.
interesting. And now we go to Richard's, or do we have another, did you just have two of yours?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're going to move over to the next row of Richard's, which if we just, okay, it doesn't matter if we, okay, we have three there that are Richard's.
Three,
We'll just see which one the cameraman's going to surprise us with. Okay, those two kind of look,
that
okay.
one, yes.
We'll start it with that one.
Yes, that's oil on paper. I did that in 2008. This is one of my favorite pieces that I've done. I've done many pieces over the years, but occasionally you do produce one that you're really happy with, and this is one of those.
I always wonder how an artist knows when they're done.
That's the most crucial decision that an artist or a painter can make, because if you go too far, if you carry it too far, you might go over the edge, and it might be over the top. It's ruined.
Yeah, overwork.
But then you say, well, maybe I haven't taken this quite as far as I could. So there's that crucial question. And that's one of the most important decisions that have to be made when you're creating. In the process of creating a work, you have to make many, many decisions along the way. But that is the most crucial one. When have I said enough? And when should I stop?
Right.
So-
Oh, I thought you were talking about this show.
No. We could go on. That's one of the occasional pieces that I'm so
And you,
really happy
did you
with.
work from a drawing from that, Richard?
No, I never know the outcome of a piece.
You don't?
No.
No.
Because that would spoil
flows.
the whole voyage of discovery that you
Yeah.
embark
Okay.
upon. So nothing is settled beforehand in my particular work, and I have no idea where it will lead me.
That would make it harder to decide when you're done.
Well, it does in a way, yeah. It really does. And sometimes you make the right decision when it's done, sometimes you don't.
And we'll go back to the one that's right beside that.
That's the one that was right, yeah.
Okay, that was one
That was one that was
you're
right.
really happy about.
Yeah.
But this one seems to be a similar style.
That's another one
Yes.
from 2008. And again, you have to reach
oil?
that crucial point where you've said everything you wanted to say, but you haven't stated it. It's there, and it's in its essence.
I like the bright colors in both of those, very vibrant.
The thing about abstract art that draws me to abstract art is the fact that a color or a shape, you can appreciate it simply for what it is, and not so much for what it represents, but for what it is. And this is what I like about abstract art.
Now we need the cameraman to go up and get the one that's above those two,
Right.
which is another one of Richard's. We'll give the camera a minute to get that lined up. And as I said, again,
one,
This is very nice.
that is-
Again, that's from 2008. That was a very good year for me.
that seems a little more of
like-
a more subtle version.
That's a little more subtle. That's oil on paper. That's called World Mythology. It's one of my better pieces. I've exhibited it widely. It's a huge theme. It's a big theme. I think with abstract, you can tackle big universal themes more readily than with realism. You're more or less focusing on a particular time, a particular space, a particular subject, where abstract is more universal in its appeal.
And other people viewing it may take something entirely different away from it than you have in your mind when you're creating it.
That's right. That's beyond my control, but that does happen.
Yeah. Well, those are all very impressive.
Art is what you like. You can see a piece, whether it's abstract, realism, or if that instills some sort of emotion in you and you really like it, that's what it's all about. And all the art we have here, they're original paintings.
Right.
So we're not into, I'm not really into doing prints or cliches or this sort of thing. I want to paint that painting and exhibit it and have people see it.
Okay, now we're going to move over and see Justin's work. And that's, I don't know which one they're going to show first. There we go. That's the big piece over there, Justin. Tell us about that.
That's a self-portrait. That's me.
That's you. I see the resemblance.
Yep.
Yes, I do.
And with that, I tried to, that solitary aspect about being an artist, I tried to capture that solitary feeling about being an artist.
I think you've captured
It's very
it well.
sparse.
I
And
love that painting.
What kind of feedback do you get from people when they see this?
with this one in particular,
Yes.
the people generally like this one.
You feel some emotion there.
Yeah, this was what Richard was saying too. I got to the point with this, should I add more because it's so sparse? And then I just decided, keep it sparse, don't touch it. Just,
I think you made the right choice.
that was 2000, that might have been 2000, no, that was 2010. That was
Okay.
from 2010.
And then we have two other pieces of yours, so we'll give the cameraman time to get over to it. And,
that one's the ice storm of '08.
oh, we all remember it
That
well.
took 6 years. This one took 6 years to paint.
How's that possible?
How is it possible to paint something
slow.
for 6 years? Well, I'd work on it for a couple months, and then I'd just look at it for 9 months, and then I'd work on it some more, and, you know, get to where I was almost finished, and almost finished, and almost finished, that satisfied feeling that we talked
Did you have
about.
photographs that you were using,
No.
or it was just in your brain?
No, during the storm, I'd gone outside, and don't know if Fitchburg was hit as hard as Ashburnham, but there was a point where it was lightning and snow and sleet and freezing rain and trees freezing and exploding. There was like a half an hour window, and I was standing outside under my garage and just watching the storm, and just that flash of lightning, it just struck in my head, and I wanted to capture that minute of remembering that moment. And I guess it just took 6 years to capture it.
Wow.
So
That's interesting, very interesting, because that was one of my questions for all of you, is how much time you spend on a piece, but I'm sure it varies quite a bit.
Yep.
Let's get your other one in so we don't run out of time.
this one took a year. That's called Cooling Off. That one's kind of about stress, like that moment where you need, like a self timeout, like you're stressed and it's a long week and, you need to kind of chill for a little while, and like the Tabasco, part of it's hot, and then the blue, part of it's cool. So you're cooling off, like you're kind of getting away from feeling stressed. And that's a mixed media. That's the woman, that's a painting from I think the 15th century, which I've always loved, which worked for this. But that's what that one's about.
Well, I'm smiling.
And you see Woodstock dancing with the balloons.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm smiling as you're describing it because this is supposed to de-stress you. You just threw everything in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, you had like the cool aspect of coming down off of being stressed, then you have the aspect where you're still stressed, so it's still hot, and then it's just that moment, just as you're turning the corner.
Interesting, very interesting. Now, Justin, you mentioned you asked Richard's opinion on something. Do you all three critique one another?
Oh yeah, we're brutally honest with each other.
Really?
We wouldn't have it any other way.
We all respect each other.
I mean, if we're always like, oh yeah, your stuff's great, and then all the, you know, what you really think is it's, you know, not that good, blah, 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 blah. We don't want to have that kind of friendship. You're like, this has to be professional, and, you know, we're good friends too, so.
And we're always polite.
Right. But once you get one another's opinions, suggestions, do you still feel, well, it's mine and I own it, so I can take their advice if I want to, but I don't have to?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. You don't have to take it.
You don't have to take
With
people's
Richard,
advice. I usually don't take people's
With
advice.
Richard, we'll say to each other, don't even make a comment about the painting until it's done.
Oh, good.
Well,
That's how we-
that's a good point.
Oh, yes.
with you know.
That's what my hairdresser always says to me. Barbara, I'm
right,
not
see?
done yet.
Yeah, we don't mix in too much, right.
Right.
Yeah.
And you,
But they live right down the street. I mean, we live
We're practically
You're all in
neighbors.
less than
Yes.
5 minutes away,
Right.
so we see each other, and, you know.
Now, you all seem very attached to the paintings you brought tonight. Do you all sell paintings as well,
yes,
right?
yeah.
Is it difficult to part with it? As a writer, I know
it is.
you still own the piece of writing if others are reading it, but when you give someone an original painting or they buy an original painting,
that's it.
it's
Yeah.
like part of you.
Well, I don't
is.
sell everything. Not everything's for sale.
Well,
Yeah.
the three of your favorites are here,
There's
right here.
pieces that I'll never sell.
Yeah.
And then there's other pieces where, if, you know, the old adage, if the price is right, and then other pieces, sometimes people just want small paintings, so I make those on purpose and sell them cheaply, because there's a chance someone will buy them if I need the money or something like that. But
Do any of you work on assignments? Or
Yeah.
yeah, I'm doing
Yeah.
Elaine's portrait as a consignment.
Are
Yes.
you?
Yeah,
And I do consignment.
and she does
also.
consignments. yeah.
So if people wanted to purchase your artwork or get in touch with you about having something done, how would they contact you?
Well,
Schoolhousegallery.org.
There you go, schoolhousegallery.org,
And if anyone out there would like to have a show,
an art show.
an art show, contact us, and we'll
We'll
be
put up
happy
a
to
show.
put up a show.
Now you mentioned you had the gallery in downtown Fitchburg. How long did you run that gallery?
Well, we actually, we're still in operation, but now we live in Ashburnham. But
Yes.
we're known as the Delisle Membrino Art Studio.
Because Delisle is your
Because
maiden name. I knew that.
Her name is Delisle.
Yeah, I knew that.
And that is actually still in operation.
we're-
It's been in operation for over 46 years.
We also
yeah.
have some works at the Kaleidoscope Gallery, which is up from the Rollstone Gallery.
Okay.
There's some art in there. They're open Thursday through Saturday, and we have some of the work in there also.
And we have a group show coming up. The mayor of Nashua, Mayor Lozo, she shows rotating shows in her office in Nashua.
Oh.
And we're going to have a group show
That's
there
gonna
in
be a group
February.
show, right.
In Nashua.
Why do you call yourself painters rather than artists?
Because we
Sense of
paint.
more,
We
because
like
that's
to
what we
paint.
are. We're painters.
Yeah.
We'll let other people decide whether we're artists.
Yeah.
more of
We'll
a sense
let
of
them
pride.
make
I know it sounds
that distinction.
Yeah, people
just
have asked
sounds
us.
better when it's painter instead of artist for some reason.
We always consider
Yeah.
ourselves painters.
Although we do
Right.
sculptures
and drawing and stuff like
and
that.
drawing, we do all types of media, collage, assemblage.
But yeah, Elaine
I've seen
takes
some of
these,
that Nancy's, yeah, I've seen-
she'll take random objects and put them all together to make a piece, and she does them in like a box. They're pretty cool.
And our styles are always changing. The things that I'm doing now are totally different from what's here. So we don't become imprisoned in a style. We sort of you know.
Yeah.
We sort of don't
Well,
repeat ourselves.
Experiments.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the reasons I love doing this show is because I have no talent, and I love meeting
see?
and interviewing talented people like you. And I've had many artists tell me that anyone can learn to draw. I do not believe it. I can't
believe
make
that, yeah.
even good stick figures.
Well, it's practice.
Well, there's an element
Drawing
of that, but
is the
I think each of you were born with a God-given talent.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
You have to have a passion, it's a desire, or an idea. Artists are they're inventors of the times. And you come up with these ideas. You actually visualize a painting.
And then you have to get to it.
Well, then
have
you
to do
start
it.
getting
Yeah.
the materials, and before you know it, here it is. And then years later, you look at it and go, wow, I did this.
What was
Where
I
did-
thinking?
Yes. Where did it come from? But it's
Yeah.
great. It's a wonderful feeling to be that creative, and it is a gift.
And you know what else is interesting, and I noticed it more with you two men than I did with Elaine, is you two seem to know at an early age this is what you wanted to do. In all my years of interviewing people, it's a small percentage that know at an early age what they want to do and actually do it.
Yeah.
More people, I always say people end up in their careers more by accident.
Well,
than
my parents were
design.
very encouraging. My father, who was a English professor, and my mother, an English teacher, and they were always introducing me to museums and classical music, and so I was around that type of environment too.
Very, you know, good. And how fortunate that you two got together.
And
Having
my-
your
Yeah.
art
Yes.
in common.
Yeah.
We did. We had a lot in common, and I think that's what attracted us. Was
The interests, you know, you're thinking of artists, whether it's music or painting or reading.
She actually
And we
writes poetry
always,
a lot, too.
and we always
Yeah.
study. You're always studying about art.
Well, and I think you see the world differently than the rest of us, and that's a good thing. That's a
It's a
compliment.
little skewed, yeah.
And thank you for going the effort of bringing all those lovely pieces
Thanks
of
for
art
having
with,
us.
with you
Thank
this
you.
evening, and it's
Yeah.
been a real pleasure talking with
Good
you
to
about
talk
your
to you.
work. And of course, I hope you join us again next week. One of my guests will be Gloria Maybury from the Literacy Volunteers, and she'll bring a few of her people along with her, I think. And also Dr. Dennis Ciccone, who's going to talk about family wellness. I will be here. I hope you will join me also. This is Barbara Foster saying good night, and God bless you.